Okay, so here's lesson 12 review. This is a review of the note values and the note rest and the rest values. So the one thing you want to remember is the three notes we're dealing with is a whole note, and then you can also have a whole rest. I'm not sure why the thickness of my marker here is giving me an issue, but then they both equal 4 counts. Then you switch down to a half note, which also can be a half rest. You can either play for 2 notes by playing the half note, or you can rest for 2 notes by playing the half rest or observing the half rest, right? And both of those equal 2 counts each. And finally, you have a shaded oval with a stem, right? And that is a quarter note. And a quarter rest looks like this. And every quarter note, when the lower number is 4, equals 1 count. So it gets 1 count. But remember, 4 over 4, it's all about adding up to 4. You just want each measure to add up to 4. What's the distance between two bar lines called? A measure. And in the case of a 4-4 measure, you want to have 4 beats in each one. So there's a couple ways we can do this, but one requires kind of like a leap of faith, one requires a little bit more processing, but that's okay. So you say, all right, fine. What is this right here? This is a quarter note. We'll abbreviate it with QT. This guy is a half note, or a half rest, you call it. This is a whole note, or a whole rest. Both equal 4. Half note and half rest equal 2. Quarter note, quarter rest equal 1. So you just go through and you figure out what you have. Okay, fine. This is a quarter note. It gets 1. This is a quarter rest. It gets 1. This is a quarter note. And this is a quarter rest. So you have beat 1, beat 2, but you put parentheses around it because you're resting. Beat 3, and then beat 4 with parentheses around it because you're resting. Where would you clap? You'd clap on beat 1, and you'd clap on beat 3. So that would sound like this. It would be ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And you just go through and process the way we have been processing before. What is this called? Find it up here. Oh, it's a half note. The stem's going down here and the stem's going up there, but they're still half notes. So it's a half note. It equals 2 counts. So you could just say 1, 2. But you want to make sure you put your dash in there. 1 dash 2. In other words, 1 through 2, right? And this rest has to start on beat 3, but it is a half rest. There's the line. So it's a half rest, and it's 3-4, but we don't play, we don't make a sound, but we still count it, right? So here it is from the beginning one more time. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And I wish I had my video on because you can see my hands holding together when I'm clapping on 1 and holding through 2, I'm holding my hands together. When I'm resting, I'm opening my hands up. Moving right along. What kind of note is this? This guy right here. Oh, on my chart here, it's a quarter note. It equals 1 beat. I could just put a 1 there. This is a quarter note again. Oh, it's going to be the second beat of the measure because we have to add up the 4. Third beat, and then the 4th beat. So you got 4 quarter notes in this measure. You're going to play on every single beat. So here's this measure alone. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I'll say hit, 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 right? And the bar line always resets the count back to 1. So whatever note's at the beginning of the next measure, it's going to start on 1. We happen to know it is a whole note. We happen to know it receives 4 counts. So it hits on 1, lasts through 2, lasts through 3, lasts through 4. But we're only hitting the very beginning of the note, where we're letting it last all the way through. Right? So here's the last measure. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you saw my hands, they were holding. I can't tap and clap or whatever. I could do this. So ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to move the cursor while I'm counting so you can see that movement. But if I was clapping my hands, I would just hit on 1 and hold them together all the way through the rest of the counts. It would be like this. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, in the next line number 2, so make sure your paper looks exactly like mine. Okay? Line number 2, now we have 3 beats in a measure. So really what happens is we have 3 quarter notes in every measure. 3, 4, 3 quarter notes. Up here it was 4, 4. It was 4 quarter notes in each measure. Right? So every bar line, the bar lines are going to come after 3 now. Because look, here's a half note. Still receives 2. 1 dash 2. Right? And here comes a quarter note. It receives 1 beat. It has to be beat 3 because in a 3-4 measure, you only have 3 beats. So you have to use a 1, 2, and a 3. In contrast with 4-4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Later on, it gets a little bit more complicated, but I'm glad it's very straightforward here, so that way you're able to process it and do it correct, do a good job with it. Then we get to the bar line, and the bar line resets the count back to 1. So you know this note right here, which is a quarter note, is going to be beat number 1. This next value right here, what is this? What's it look most closely like? This one? No. This one? No. Ding, 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 that one. It's a quarter rest. And it also receives a full beat, 1 beat. But we put it in parentheses because it's a rest, so we're not going to clap there. And finally, this is a quarter note, so it gets beat 3. Bar line resets the count to 1. This is a quarter note, it's the first beat. This is a quarter note, it's the second beat. This is a quarter note, it's the third beat. Bar line resets back to 1. This is a half note, it's 1 dash 2. And this guy over here is a quarter rest, so the third beat is a beat of silence. Here we go. Counting along, clapping along. Ready, set, here we go. Hit and hold. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rest, or 3. So here we go, one more time. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty? Let me pause while I switch the screen a little bit. I noticed something interesting in the directions. Write the beats under each note and rest in exercise 1 and 2. Count aloud as you tap your foot for each beat. Then sing with letter names or syllables. Okay, well that's interesting because I think they're referring to singing the notes as they sound while you're playing here. And that would be a neat exercise, like a bonus exercise for us. Like this one here, I think about it in the key of F. And F would be Do. This one here, let's think. I'm thinking about this one in the key of G, but we're in bass clef. So that's B, A, G. B, C, B, A, G, where G would be Do. We can look at that one in a different way in a bit. But I just thought it was interesting that they put sing with letter names or syllables. I like using the Do, Re, Mi syllables with the movable Do. We could talk about that some more. But right now, let's just complete the assignment with the counts. All right? So here we go. So number 3, draw in the missing bar lines. Draw in the missing bar lines in example 3 and 4. Then write the beats. Count, tap, and sing. Okay. So, it's in 4-4. So when we're in 4-4, we want to add up to 4. There will be 4 beats in each measure. So now we have to do a little bit of accounting, right? We want to put our cheat sheet somewhere again because our cheat sheet at the top went away. So we have a whole note. We have a whole rest, right? And we know they equal 4. We have a half note. We have a half rest. And we know they equal 2. And we have a quarter note, shaded oval with a stem. We have a quarter rest, and we know they equal 1 each. So now we say every time we get to the number 4, we have to then put a bar line. So here we go. This is the first. This is a quarter rest. It gets 1. It's a quarter note. It's the second beat. It's a quarter note. It's the third beat. It's a quarter note. It's the fourth beat. We know we only have 4 beats in the measure. So what do we put? Our bar line. Now we know once we put a bar line in, it resets the count back to 1. This is a quarter rest. Gets 1 beat. Quarter note, beat 2. Quarter note, beat 3. Quarter note, beat 4. You guessed it, bar line. Now what kind of rest is this? Notice that when we talked about the half rest, the line is below the little piece that goes upward, right? It kind of looks like a hat. And when you have a hat, you have HA. And when you have a half, you have HA. So it's a little trick you can use to realize that it's a hat. When you have a whole rest, it kind of looks like it could be a hole in the ground. A hole in the ground, a whole rest, right? Because if this was the ground and you were walking along, maybe you would fall in that hole if you weren't paying attention, right? So that's the idea there. It kind of looks like a hole in the ground. So a play on words gives you a hole in the ground, whole rest. So interesting, that is actually a half rest. So it still gets 2 beats, right? So it's 1-2, but it's in parentheses because you're not clapping there. Well, wait a minute. We still have to add up to 4. Hold up a minute. So remember, we're still doing 4 beats a measure. All right, so here's 1 and 2 here. Then this is a half note. It receives 2 beats. We still need beat 3 and beat 4. After we get beat 4, we put our bar line. Finally, the count got reset back to 1. It's a half note, 1-2, which means I still have 2 beats left that I need, which means this right here is actually a half rest. So it's going to be on beat 3 and beat 4, but parentheses around it because you do not clap in that instance. So here's what it sounds like from the beginning. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Oh, I forgot to put parentheses around my rest here. Hold up, and I forgot to put down where we play, where we clap. So here we go. Any rests have to have parentheses, right? And then we would clap on 2, we would clap on 3, we would clap on 4, clap on 2, clap on 3, clap on 4, clap on 3, hold through 4. I got my dash there. Hopefully somebody told me ahead of time. Good. So we clap on 3, we hold through 4, clap on 1, hold through 2, right? And then we rest on 3 and hold and keep our rest held through 4. So here we go. Here's what it sounds like. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Good. Here we go. Number 4. Notice now the count. How many beats in each measure now? 2, right? So we're adding up to 2. add up to 2, right? So what do we have? Quarter note, 1. Quarter note, 2. Bar line. You don't have to make your bar lines that bold. I'm just doing it so you see it. Reset the count to 1. Quarter note. What is this guy? Quarter rest. 2. Put parentheses around it. And then the bar line. 1, then 2. Bar line. What kind of note is this? Half note. 2. 1 dash 2, because it goes through for the 2 beats. Right? Bar line. Quarter note. 1. Quarter note. 2. Bar line. This next measure, you know the first thing that happens is a 1 happens to be a quarter note. That's nice and tidy, right? 1, we rest. We clap on 2. Bar line. Now we have a half note beginning the next measure. 1 dash 2. After you write 2, put your bar line. You know this has to be on number 1. It's a quarter note. It lasts for the full first beat. And finally, beat 2 is a quarter rest. Make sure you put your rest in there. Let's try to play it. So we're only going to go 1, 2, and then go right back to 1 again. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? So you notice the way my voice changes when I chant the half notes. Listen to this half note right here. Ready, go. 1, 2. I'm trying to give that the sound, let the sound be elongated, right? Let's try that one again. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're on a roll here. Well, let's fly through number 5 and 6. We're going to do 7 and 8 on the board in front so we can all talk about it. And we'll identify a few things along the way, but I think you're going to make up your own in these 2 examples right here. All right, so here we go. Next one, place the correct time signature in example 5 and 6. Then write the beats. Okay, so now you have to say, here's a bar line, here's a bar line. Everything between those 2 bar lines is a measure. So now you actually have to count. How many beats do you have in between the measures? So, well, this is a quarter note, it gets 1. This is a quarter note, it gets 1. If you wanted to do it this way, you could. This is a quarter rest, it gets 1. This is a quarter note, it gets 1. So if you add 1, 1, 1, and 1, you come up with 4. So now you know there's 4 beats before this bar line occurs. So what happens between 2 bar lines is a measure. Then we know that there's 4 beats in each measure, so we put the number 4 right there. Then we can go back and just kind of erase that part. We know the distance between 2 bar lines is a measure, and we know this is asking us to identify the correct time signature, which we just did by putting that 4 over 4. Now we go through and we put the beats on. So here it is, quarter note beat 1, quarter rest on beat 2, quarter rest on beat 3, quarter note on beat 4, bar line. Half note starts on beat 1, 1-2. This is a quarter rest on beat 3. This is a quarter note on beat 4, bar line. Quarter note on beat 1, quarter rest on beat 2, right here. Quarter note on beat 3, quarter note on beat 4, half note starting on beat 1 in the last measure, and this is a half rest for 2 beats in that last measure, put in parentheses, right? So there it is. Let's do it. Number 5. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes number 6. Let's pay attention to what happens between the two bar lines. How many beats do you have? What between the two bar lines? We have a quarter note, that equals 1. And we have a quarter rest, which equals 1. Then we have a bar line. So we know we had 2 quarter notes. 1 plus 1 is 2. We had 2 quarter notes in each measure. That's why we put the 2 on top. Or the upper number is 2. And then we know every measure will live by the rule of having 2 beats in each measure. Let's do it. Ready? Quarter note gets beat 1. Quarter rest gets beat 2. Half note starts on 1, lasts through 2. Bar line resets the count back to 1. Beat 2 is a rest. Bar line, this note starts on 1. It's a half note. It's 1 through 2. That satisfies all the beats in that measure. Bar line. On 1 you have a rest. On beat 2 you have a quarter note. Bar line. On beat 1 you have a quarter note. On beat 2 you have a rest, a quarter rest. Bar line resets the count back to 1. Quarter note gets 1. Quarter note gets 1 beat, second beat. Bar line, and finally the half note starts on 1 and you play through 2. What didn't I do up here? I didn't circle when you clap. Here we go. We circle, we clap here, we clap on 1 there, we last through 2, we clap on 4, clap on 1, clap on 3, clap on 4, clap on 1, last through 2, then we open our hands. Here we go into 2-4 measures. Ready? We clap on 1, then we rest. We clap on 1, we hold through 2. We clap on 1, then we rest. We clap on 1, we hold through 2. We rest on 1, we clap on 2. We rest on 1, we clap on 1, we rest on 2. We clap on 1, we clap on 2, clap on 1, hold through 2. Here's number 6. Here's what it sounds like. Ready, set, here we go. Hit 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and off. One more time. Ready, set, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and off. All right, great job. Now we're going to do 7 and 8 on the board in front. I'm going to recreate these concepts. Hopefully your paper looks exactly like this. That was a lot of work, but if you were following along, you definitely will start to pick up what's happening here. Let's check for any mistakes. Ah, there's one. I should have circled that one. Right? Aha, here's another one. Should have circled that one. Should have circled 3 because we hit. Clap on 1, clap on 3. So we're checking. Where do we clap? Hit on 1, hold through 2, right? And I think I got most of them. No, there's another mistake right here. Look, got one right here. When we were adding up to 2, I forgot to mark where we clap. 1, hit on 1, clap on 2, clap on 1, rest on 2, clap on 1, clap on 2, clap on 1, hold through 2, clap on 1, clap on 2, rest on 1, clap on 2, clap on 1, hold through 2, clap on 1, rest on 2. Did I forget anywhere else? Now we're good. All right. Nice work. Talk to you soon.